So the topic today, restorative longevity. God said to exercise. That is the topic of today. Exercise. Everybody knows that you have to do it. Some people don't. Most people don't do it. I think there's a statistic that 77% of Americans do not exercise. In Asia, it's a little more easier, especially in the countries that have public transportation. Public transportation actually encourages exercise because you got to walk to the subway, to the bus. You don't just jump into your car from your garage, right? And I can share a little bit about this, my experience going to Asia earlier this year. So, restorative longevity, God said to exercise. So I'm going to give you the solution right away. And then this is the overview of how I'm going to do this podcast today. I'm going to give you the solution to what I'm going to be talking about. And then I'm going to explain. Okay. Now, why do I need to explain? Some people, I'll get comments sometimes and just say, hey, get to the point, right? Stop doing all this talking. Well, here's the thing. I will give you the solution, but many of you are going to think immediately, oh, no, that doesn't make sense. Oh, no, I'm not doing that. That's the reason why I have to explain everything, right? Because it's your current knowledge is telling you that what I'm about to say makes zero sense and you're not going to do it, right? That's why I go in through these long explanations to give you the information, the backing of why what I'm talking about actually works. Okay, so that's the overview. So what is the solution? The solution is this. Exercise, right, is really, I would say it's not the best terminology. Now, again, what's our focus? Our focus is on restorative longevity. What does that mean? Longevity means to live a longer life, but restorative longevity means the quality of your longer life increases as you get older. It doesn't decrease, it increases. That's restorative longevity. Most people do not want to live a long life, especially if their quality sucks, right? So we're going to be talking about restorative longevity. That's our focus. And that's really the focus of this podcast is restorative longevity. It is not focused on just living a longer life. Exercise is not the best word. I think the best word is movement. You need more movement in your life. So the more you can increase your movement, the more you can restore your organ functions and actually retrain your brain to heal your body. So the solution is this. Movement. It's not about how many steps. It's just increase your movement. It's not even about how many hours. The solution is very simple. Increase your movement. Yes, it is that simple. Restorative longevity, if you want to live a higher quality of life and a longer, higher quality of life, increase the movement in your life. Now that seems so super simple. Let's go into the details and we'll go into some discussion about research, right? But why the topic God said to exercise? For those of y'all who are Christians or believers, you'll understand this. For those of y'all who are not, you don't have to be a Christian or a believer to understand this. But because I am a believer, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Bible and how the Bible tells us to exercise. So God created men. Men were created out of the image of God. And God was a working God. He worked, right? He worked at least 6 days a week. And so he made us and he instructed us in the book of Genesis. He instructed us to tend the garden, to maintain the garden. That is work. So God made us to work, which means to move. Now, work and there's a negative connotation to the word work. I think work is probably maybe not so good of a word because everything's work is a negative thing, right? Work is a beautiful thing. Most people think about work as doing something that you don't want to do. Well, when you married your spouse, maintain that marriage, that's work, right? To educate your kids, to discipline your kids, to guide your kids, that's work. That is work. That is all work. That's no different than you going to your job and doing computer programming or doing some teaching some kids or treating patients or building houses. That work is no different than the work that you are doing when you are loving on your kids. That is work. To love is to work, right? So that is my definition of work. And that's what we're talking about here, restorative longevity. So God made us to work. He made us in his image. He made us to work, to tend the garden. So what does that mean? That means you need to move every day. Every day you need to move. You need to work, right? How much? That depends. That really depends not on your age. It's not dependent upon your height. It's not dependent upon your sex. It's not dependent upon your race. It's not dependent upon your even weight. You move based on the condition of your organs. If your organs are healthy, then you will be able to move more, work more. But if your organs are not healthy, you're going to be stuck in a chair, you're going to be stuck in bed, right? Think about it. When your organs are healthy, you're going to have vital amounts of energy. And I'm not talking about you taking medication to boost your energy or taking some supplements to boost your energy. No, I'm not. I'm just talking about you're living your normal life without any pills, and you have this vital energy. You can go out and you just feel like you could run a marathon. Not that you're going to run a marathon, but you feel like you could, right? And so that is based on that amount of energy, that vitality is based on the condition of your organs. So if your organs are functioning at optimal levels, you will have vitality. Vitality is not spurts of energy. It is a constant surge. It's a constant, not even a surge, it's a constant flow of energy. That is vitality. Most people do not have it. Most people in the world do not have it, right? Especially here in the US. 77% of the US do not exercise, do not move. Okay, so having that vitality is crucial. So coming back to exercise, here's a couple of nuggets that I want to share that I wrote down. I just wanted to share, right? So, we get in our clinic at Achieve Integrative Health in Cedar Park, Texas, we get our questions all the time. And even on social media, people ask, what should I do? Should I do cardio? Should I do anaerobic, aerobic exercise? Should I do weights? Should I do resistance? Should I do, low impact? Should I swim? And all these questions. And these are all great questions. These are all great questions, right? But let me come back to, when our patients are asking that, they've already gone to Dr. Google, and Google gives you these millions of expert advice. You got physicians, you got chiropractors, you got acupuncturists, you got nutritionists, you got scientists, all telling you, based on research, you should do blah. And the problem that our patients, and I've noticed that our patients run into, is there is millions of conflicting research. Like, for those of y'all who love research, you can go on to PubMed.com and you can get research that can say weights are the best thing for people. You're going to get research that says aerobic exercise, running is the best thing for people. Then you're going to get someone that says, oh no, you need to do blah is best for people. They're all conflicting. Right? They're all fighting each other, saying, oh no, my research is better. And this is what I've noticed. This is from our patients. Okay, so I'm just reporting this from our patients. So patients typically trust research more. They trust physicians more. They trust scientists more, right? And I'm not saying this is right or wrong. Again, disclaimer, I love physicians. I love scientists. I was a researcher myself. I was a biochemist myself. Before I became an acupuncturist, my older sister and brother-in-law are physicians. My best friends are physicians. I love physicians. I'm not knocking physicians. Okay. People trust physicians a lot. And I'm not going to go into the details of why, of what they're training. I'll just say physicians are trained to prescribe medication. They're not trained to help you live longer. They're trained to save your life, and they will save your life. I love my physicians. You're in a car accident, they will save your life. But here's the thing, the research, this is going back to our patients. Our patients tell us, they Google, and then they find all these physicians, and even these, the new holistic physicians called functional medicine physicians. They say all this research, and they say, oh, exercise, you should do this, you should do that. You should do HIIT training. You should do yoga. You should do Pilates, right? And so here's what they have found. There's millions of research. So even within physicians, there's physicians. There was a physician, I forgot his name, but he's into longevity, natural longevity, not medication longevity. But he did a research, and then another physician argued that his research was flawed and that his research was not done correctly, right? And so there's all these fights about research. And I'll quote something that I read. Here's a physician that said, this physician studied nutrition, and he said, I was immersed in the world of nutrition research, which, if anything, is even more confounding than exercise science. So what he's saying is the conflicting information is even more in nutrition. Rife with contradictory findings and passionately held dogmas backed by flimsy data. So this physician is even accusing other physicians that their research is backed by flimsy data, right? So my point of sharing all this is that, you can listen. I'm not saying don't listen to research. I love research. Again, I'm a biochemist. I love research, but you need to choose who to listen to. And I did a podcast about who to choose to. You can go and watch that. But the fact is, scientists and physicians are going to argue about whose research. Did you do it correctly? Did you have enough people? Was you have control? Was you really control? Is the data is an assumption? Did you really have an assumption? Was there variables controlled? You see, there's so many things to a real good research. And everybody has a different definition. That's why I don't I look at research, but I look at what's even more important, life research. That's what I trust the most, okay? So exercise, there's gonna be so many research on exercise. And here's the problem is, you're gonna find two groups. Again, this is what our patients report to us. They find scientists and physicians go through two groups. One is they do research to find simplicity, to simplify the answer to what the question is, to simplify the answer to the question. The question is, what exercise should I do? So we've got a group of physicians and scientists that are trying to find a simple answer. Then another group of physicians and research that don't want to find the simple. They don't believe it can be simple. They want to keep it complex. And again, I'm going to read a quote from this a book that I'm reading. A physician who's trying to help with longevity. He says, I'm not fond of the way we reduce these complex, nuanced, vitally important questions down to simple either ors. So this is just to show you that, books, research, some physicians want to keep things complex. Some physicians want to find the simplicity of it. Now, what you as the general population, a non-medical person, layperson, what do you want? I don't know what you want, but I'm pretty sure I can guess you're similar to me. And I'm a scientist, I'm a practitioner, but still I want simple solutions. I don't want the complex things, right? Because here's the thing with complex solutions, complex reasoning. They are dependent upon someone else. The more complex it is, the less I understand, the less I'm going to implement, the less I'm going to move, the less I'm going to exercise, right? And I'm going to be dependent upon these physicians and scientists and researchers who want to keep things complex, and they keep on finding new things. And next year, they're going to find new research that is the opposite of what they said last year. I don't like to do that. I like things that have lasted for thousands of years, simple solutions that have lasted for thousands of years. And I already introduced the answer to you, simple solutions. The answer that I told at the beginning of this podcast is increase your movement in your life. Doesn't matter how much, just increase. It's just that simple. See, Many people don't like that simplicity. Most people want to know, how many calories should I count? Should I burn? How many minutes of cardio should I do? HIIT training, is it really good? Resistance training, should I be running? For how long? For how many calories? I need to count calories, and I need. But I don't like all that stuff. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just too complex. I like simple stuff. Just increase movements, right? How do I do that? Instead of driving to a grocery store that you could take maybe 30 minutes to walk or even 15 minutes to walk to your grocery stores. In Asia, we see, when I went to Asia, when I go to the farmer's market, they do have big grocery stores, but the best produce is in the farmer's market. And I would see all these women, and some men, but mostly there's a lot of women, grandmothers. They either have a backpack or they're pulling something. They're pulling like a little cart that they'll hold their groceries. I saw this everywhere I went, in Taiwan, in Vietnam. It was all the same. So here in the US, we drive 5 minutes when you can walk 30 minutes to get your groceries. Yes, it may seem very inconvenient, right? But again, if you're listening to this podcast, it's because you want restorative longevity, right? So coming back to this, physicians, scientists, right? So simple things, right? Here's the thing that I tell our patients, and our patients in our clinic, and patients, they're so ingrained. What's the science? What's the research say? Okay, let me give you an alternative. Instead of trying to figure out how many calories you should burn, right? Focus on living. And I'll explain this. Instead of trying to figure out the research, the focus of the science, what does science tell us? Instead of spending hours of research on Google, sitting in your chair, or reading books, sitting in your chair, right, for hours, trying to figure out the secret to weight loss, the secret to living a higher quality of life, why not spend 80% of that time moving? 80% of that time actually enjoying your life. I'm not saying reading is bad. I love reading. I read 2 hours a day, okay? Every day, 7 days a week. I love reading. And so instead of focusing your time on trying to find the secret, the holy grail of exercise, why not spend that time actually living your life, enjoying your life, spending time with your family? Everybody says they want to enjoy time with their family, but most people don't spend time with their family when they have the time. So instead of doing all the research, spending the time doing all the research, why not just live your life focused on enjoying your life? Now, it seems so simple. Where did I get this from? It may seem like this is stupid simple, right? This goes back to where I get my research. I love research. Where do I get my research? As I get older, getting closer to my 50s, the research that I look at is not what's done in the laboratory. And the research that I look at is not other people analyzing other people's. This is a meta, I'm probably gonna say this wrong, it's like a meta-analysis. So there's physicians that will go look at the research done by other people. They'll look at 10 research and they'll summarize the information from that research, right? That research is helpful, but I don't live my life based on that. I don't help my patients achieve restorative longevity with that research. I use the research that is time tested, that actually people today are actually implementing. I don't like the test tube research. I listen to it and see if it applies to reality. I use reality research. So I talked about the blue zones. The blue zones are a real life research. They are still alive. They are still living a higher quality of life. So what do they do for exercise? They don't go to the gym. They increase their movement. They structure their life where they are using more movement in their life, right? They're using more movement in their life, and therefore they are living over 100 years old with higher quality of life than 60-year-olds here in the US. That's the type of research I like to do. And so that's where I get the movement, increase your movement and focused on enjoying your life. You want to travel? Go travel. Go to Europe, it's all movement. You got to move. Europe has great public transportation. We need better public transportation here in the US. That is a big reason why we do not move here in the US. We do not exercise. So going to the grocery stores, taking your grandkids for a walk every day, not watching TV with them, right? Which is helping them develop a bad habit, not giving them an iPad, a phone, walking with them into nature, looking at nature, breathing in the fresh air, movement, more movement. So when I was in Asia, I was in Taiwan earlier this year, and I have an Apple Watch, and so I'm tracking my steps, right? And more how distance did I walk? Just to do our daily activities without even trying to exercise. I did go to the gym once a week. I only went to the gym once a week when I was in Taiwan, but I was walking on average 5 to 6 miles every day. That was just the way of life, because we have a great subway system, right? A light rail system. And in order to get to the light rail, you have to walk to the light rail and walk back home, right? And then it was very inconvenient. If you had a car, there's many cars, but it's so inconvenient to have a car because it would take you longer because there's limited parking spots, right? And so I would walk, and then I started to learn how to play table tennis, ping pong. So I would do that. That would increase my steps. But I was doing things that was enjoyable. I love the night market, so I love to eat. So I would walk to the night market, and I would eat, right, and walk. I would eat, and then walk some more and walk around, right? It was just part of the daily life. How can we instill that into here in the US? But once I came back to the US, I don't even walk a mile a day. And that's why I had to force myself to go to a gym to walk on a treadmill. Okay. So running. Many of the centenarians in the blue zones, they're not running marathons. They're not running to exercise. They're in the field farming. They're harvesting. They're walking to their friend's house. They're doing these daily things. And Rianne, yes, just do something, move, and then move more. Exactly. Movement. You need more movement, right? And so some of the strategies from the blue zone, find ways to move. Like there's Uber. When I was in Taiwan, I could take an Uber. I could have taken an Uber everywhere just for, take an Uber and it would be only 1 minute drive, right? But I didn't. I chose to walk because I think everybody can testify to this. You hate going to exercise, but once you exercise, after you exercise, you feel great. You're like, man, why am I not doing this every single day, right? You just feel great because exercise increases happy hormones. What specific hormones? You don't need to worry about that. That's too complex. Don't worry about those things, right? Restorative longevity is about how to live a happier, longer life. That's what restorative longevity is, right? So, yard work. Here in the US, you can do yard work. You can get a dog. We love dogs here. I live here in Austin, Texas. Get a dog. Walk the dog. Your dogs need exercise. Just walk. Walk the dogs. Walk your grandkids. Walk your kids. Walk with your kids. So those are great things. Like another thing that we have done my wife and I have done, we probably did this 15 years ago. We got rid of TVs. We don't have a TV in our home at all. We actually just put it on a online platform and just said, who wants this TV? You can come and get it for free. Bicycle. If you like bicycling. Like my sister lives in Germany. My physician sister lives in Germany. When I visited her, she did bicycling all the time. Like from place to place. Like instead of driving, they would bicycle, right? and the scenery is just so beautiful. Another blue zone thing that people do, the centenarians do, they take up their favorite sports. They do their favorite sports. Some still play tennis. I remember when I was in high school, I played tennis with a 90-year-old, and he kicked my butt. He could place the ball perfectly, making me run around, but he was still playing at 90 years old, right? Stop limiting yourself and saying, oh, when I get to 80, 90s, oh, I can't do those things. My dad turned 83 this year. He walks down, he lives on a mountain, walks down the mountain to the bottom of the mountain and teaches a group of other younger people, like 60s and 70s. He's 83. He's teaching 60 and 70-year-olds how to do Tai Chi. He walks down the mountain, takes him 30 minutes to walk back home. He does that 5 days a week, right? Restorative longevity. Yes, convenience is so dangerous. It's because we're so busy also. We are so busy to not move. We are busy looking on our phone. That's why there's a lot of neck pain now. Tech neck. Why do they have that term, tech neck? Because we're on our phone all the time, right? Grow some plants, right? What else can you do? Optimize your furniture. There's a lot of things you can do. Move more. So now let me get some more specific, like how much do you move, right? For those of y'all who are scientists or analytics or just like data, I love data. So I like to track things, right? I love tracking things. You don't have to track things to achieve restorative longevity. But if you do like to track things, I like to track things. Movement. You can get I have an Apple Watch, a Fitbit, a Garmin, any of those step trackers. Very inexpensive. Apple Watch is expensive. You can just get a simple, probably under $50 here in the US, like a step, how much step counter or how, distance walk, how much you've walked. That's all you need, right? And just track how much you're moving every day. And the next day, just make sure you're moving a little more, right? Everybody's focused on, because research says you need 10,000 steps. Again, if you listen to my earlier part of this podcast, that research is flawed and it's perfect. Yes, I'm going to confuse you, right? I don't rely upon that research, because here's the thing. At the end of the day, what do we want mostly? We want to live a joyful life, a happy life, high vitality, high quality, and longer. And then we want that first, high quality life first. And then if we can extend that past 100 years old, even better. Why wouldn't you? If you lived, those people who don't care about how long they live is because their quality of life sucks. So they don't want to live longer. Imagine if you're in pain, you have no energy, you're brain fog every single day. Why would you want to live to 100 like that? Some people just want to end it. They want to go and join God immediately. But imagine if you truly had a joyful life and happy life. That's why I said, instead of focusing on how many steps, how many miles you should be walking every day, focus on, are you enjoying your life today? Are you enjoying every second? Not just an hour a day, every second of your life, are you enjoying? If you're not, get up and move. Don't you realize, why do people take their families over to Europe? Here in the US, they go to Europe. And if you're in Europe, you come to the US. If you're in Asia, you come, and so forth. Why do they travel? A lot of times it's because when you're traveling, you're moving. See, movement. You're moving with your family. Movement brings you closer. Movement, right? So those are the things that I wanted to go over. Instead of trying to spend time trying to find the secret to what you should do for exercise, weights, cardio, right? Or resistance training, spend their time enjoying your life. Think about, how can you enjoy your life? I guarantee you 80% of y'all listening, enjoying your life is not sitting there watching TV with your family. I'm pretty confident I can say that. That's why I didn't say 100%, I said 80%, right? Would you agree with me? 80% of when you say you enjoy, it is not sitting there watching TV with your family. You may be sitting there, but you're laughing. You're playing games, you're talking, you're chit-chatting, you're eating, you're going to places, exploring places together. You're bonding, you're sharing moments. Those moments all involve movement. All right, guys, until the next time, we'll go into more detail about exercise, but I wanted to set the tone for exercise. And I already gave you the solution, and I'll repeat it again. The solution to exercise, if you have a question, should I do weights? Should I do cardio? Should I run? Should I swim? Short answer is all the above, but the real answer is just increase your movement on a daily basis. Movement on a daily basis. All right, guys, until the next episode.